I'm glad to have you here. Follow my story until the end and comment the city you're watching from. A week before my daughter's wedding, a stranger grabbed my arm and whispered, "Hide behind that screen. Don't ask questions. Just trust me." 5 minutes later, I overheard the man my daughter was about to marry planning to steal $220,000 from her and leave her bankrupt. She had no idea I was listening. She had no idea what was about to destroy her life. And when I tried to warn her, she chose them over me. My name is Evelyn Sullivan. I'm 52 years old. I raised my daughter Camila alone after my husband James died of cancer 5 years ago. And this is the story of how I had to watch my own child walk into a trap to save her. What would you have done? The Golden Terrace restaurant smelled like garlic and fresh-baked bread. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling, catching the afternoon sunlight and scattering it across white tablecloths. It was the kind of place where people celebrated good news engagements, promotions, anniversaries. I was there to finalize the wedding menu. 1 week, 7 days until Camilla married Lucas Whitmore. 200 guests. A ceremony at St. Matthew's Church, followed by a reception at the Lake Morrison Country Club. My baby girl was getting married, and I'd been planning every detail with her for months. The hostess smiled at me from behind her podium. "Welcome to Golden Terrace. Do you have a reservation?" "Yes, Sullivan, 2 o'clock. Before she could check her list, a young woman appeared at my elbow. Blonde ponytail, name tag that read Jessica. Her face was pale, and her eyes looked terrified. "Excuse me?" she whispered. "Are you Evelyn Sullivan?" I turned to her confused. "Yes. Do I know you?" Her hand closed around my wrist, cold, trembling. "Please, you need to trust me. Come with me right now." "I'm sorry, I'm meeting someone." "I know." Her voice cracked. "That's why you need to hide." My heart started hammering. This was insane. I didn't know this woman, but something in her face, raw fear, barely contained grief, made me hesitate. "I don't understand." "There's no time." She pulled me gently but firmly past tables where couples laughed over wine, oblivious to whatever crisis was unfolding. "They'll be here any minute. If they see you, they'll change everything. You won't hear the truth." We stopped beside a tall wooden screen that separated the main dining room from a private alcove. Behind it, shadows. A narrow space just wide enough for someone to stand. "Stay here," Jessica whispered. She was shaking. "You'll hear everything. Don't come out until I get you." Her eyes locked onto mine. "Please, I'm begging you." "Who are you?" "I'll explain later. Just please." Then she was gone, disappearing back into the dining room. I pressed myself against the wall, my pulse thundering in my ears. This was crazy. I should walk out right now. But something kept me frozen in place. Maybe it was the terror in that girl's eyes. Maybe it was the way she'd said they'll change everything. Maybe it was a mother's instinct that something was terribly, terribly wrong. I heard the hostess's voice. Bright, professional. "Right this way, Mrs. Whitmore." Footsteps. The scrape of chairs being pulled out. A woman's laugh. Smooth, controlled. "Thank you, darling." Victoria Whitmore, Lucas's mother. I'd met her 3 times. Elegant, well-dressed, always perfectly composed. She'd welcomed me into the family with open arms, told me how thrilled she was that Lucas had found someone like Camila. Then a man's voice. Younger, hesitant. "Are you sure about tonight, Mom?" "What if Evelyn isn't coming?" Victoria's tone was clipped businesslike. "I never actually called her. I just needed her name on the reservation." My blood turned to ice. I stopped breathing, pressed harder against the wall, praying they couldn't hear my heart pounding. "The loan papers are ready," Victoria continued. $220,000, all in Camila's name. The condo is collateral. No, she'll sign after the ceremony," Victoria said. "At the notary's office. She'll think it's standard marriage paperwork." A pause, then Lucas's voice quieter now. Guilty. "And if she fights it?" "She won't." Victoria's voice was cold as winter. "Women like her don't fight. The debt $500,000 once interest compounds will be attached to her credit. Foreclosure. She'll be ruined. And we'll be free." I couldn't move. Couldn't think. The words kept echoing in my head. $220,000. Camila's name. She'll be ruined. "What about Evelyn?" Lucas asked. "She seems sharp." Victoria laughed. Actually laughed. Evelyn won't be a problem. Camila won't believe her. The girl worships you, Lucas. She'll choose you over her mother every time. A pause. Then, just like the others. The others. Oh God. This wasn't the first time. My hands were shaking so badly I had to press them flat against the wall to keep them still. I bit down hard on my lower lip, tasting copper, forcing myself to stay silent. More conversation. Details about offshore accounts, about timing, about how to guide Camila's hand when she signed. Then movement. Chairs scraping. Jessica will bring the wine list, Victoria said. Let's look cheerful, shall we? We're celebrating a wedding. I heard Jessica's footsteps approaching their table, her voice steady despite what I knew was her terror. Good evening. Can I start you with drinks? 20 minutes. I stood behind that screen for 20 minutes listening to them order wine and appetizers like they were normal people planning a normal celebration. When I saw Jessica returning with water glasses, her hands were white-knuckled, shaking. Finally, chairs scraped again. Goodbyes. The click of Victoria's heels on tile growing fainter. Silence. Jessica appeared at the edge of the screen. Her face was gray. They're gone. I couldn't speak, couldn't form words. She pressed something into my hand. A business card. Her phone number written on the back in blue ink. I'll explain everything, but not here. Call me. Wait, but she was already walking away back toward the kitchen, her shoulders rigid with tension. I stood there for another moment, staring at the card in my hand. Then I walked out of the restaurant on legs that didn't feel like mine. In my car, I gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles ached, stared through the windshield at the parking lot, seeing nothing. They were going to destroy her. My daughter, my baby girl who still called me every Sunday, who'd cried in my arms after her father died, who trusted too easily and loved too hard. $220,000. Her condo, her future, gone, just like the others. How many women had Victoria done this to? And how the hell was I supposed to tell Camila that the man she was about to marry was planning to ruin her life? I drove home on autopilot. 40 minutes through Charlotte traffic, and I couldn't remember a single turn I'd made. My mind kept replaying Victoria's voice. She'll be ruined, and we'll be free. At home, I sat at the kitchen table, stared at my phone, tried to figure out what to say. How do you tell your daughter that you overheard her future husband planning fraud? How do you make her believe something so insane? I picked up the phone, put it down, picked it up again. Finally, I sent a text. Can you come over tonight? It's urgent. 3 dots appeared immediately. Then, Mom, it's late. Wedding stuff is crazy right now. Please, Camila, I wouldn't ask if it wasn't important. The dots appeared and disappeared 3 times. Finally, fine, be there in 20. I paced the kitchen for 19 minutes, rehearsed what I'd say. None of it sounded believable. When Camila walked in, she was glowing. Her dark hair was pulled back in a messy bun, and she wore yoga pants and an oversized sweatshirt that said bride-to-be in silver glitter. She was carrying a binder thick with fabric samples and seating charts. Mom, what's going on? I was finalizing the guest list with Lucas. Sit down, sweetheart. Something in my voice made her stop. The smile faded from her face. You're scaring me. Sit, please. She sank into a chair at the kitchen table, the same table where I'd helped her with homework when she was 10, where James and I had told her about his cancer diagnosis, where we'd eaten Sunday dinners as a family for 27 years. I sat across from her, folded my hands to stop them from shaking. I was at the Golden Terrace tonight, I began. My voice didn't sound like mine. I overheard a conversation between Victoria and Lucas. Camila's brow furrowed. Okay, they're planning to take out loans in your name, $220,000, using your condo as collateral. They're going to make you sign after the ceremony, at a notary's office. They'll tell you it's standard marriage paperwork. Silence. Camila stared at me. What's an? Then they're going to divorce you in 6 months. Move the debt offshore. You'll lose everything. Your condo, your credit, your... Mom. She was shaking her head, laughing, a sharp, incredulous sound. Do you hear yourself? Lucas is going to trick me into signing a loan? I heard every word, Camila. Victoria said your name. She said they'd done this before, just like the others. There are other victims. Camila stood up abruptly. Her chair scraped against the tile. You're lying. I'm not. You've never liked Lucas. Her voice was rising, getting louder. Never liked Victoria. And now you're making up this conspiracy to stop my wedding. Sweetheart, please. You're trying to control me. She was pacing now, hands clenched into fists. You can't stand that I'm having my own life, that I'm leaving you. You want me stuck here, dependent on you, just like always. Each word was a knife. That's not true. Isn't it? Tears were streaming down her face now. Victoria warned me about this. I froze. What but? Last month. She told me, Camila's voice broke. She said some mothers can't let go, that they'll sabotage their kids' happiness to keep them close. She said she'd seen it before. Mothers who couldn't handle their daughters growing up. Oh God. Victoria had been planning this, planting seeds, preparing Camila to reject me. Camila, I whispered. I reached for her hand, but she pulled away. Please, just this once. Trust me. I can't. She grabbed her purse. More tears. I can't trust you anymore, Mom. She walked toward the door. Wait, the door slammed. I sat alone in the kitchen. The silence was deafening. Worse than any sound I'd ever heard. My phone buzzed. A text from Camila. I need space. Don't contact me until after the wedding. I stared at those words until they blurred, until I couldn't read them anymore. 6 days. I had 6 days to save my daughter from destroying her life, and she'd just shut me out completely. I couldn't sleep. I lay on my back staring at the ceiling fan making slow circles above my bed. The digital clock on the nightstand glowed red. 11:47, 11:48, 11:49. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard Victoria's voice. Women like her don't fight. I reached for my phone, pulled up Camila's contact. My thumb hovered over the call button. Don't contact me until after the wedding. I set the phone down. I kept thinking about what Camila had said. Victoria warned me about this. Victoria had been planning for this moment. She'd known somehow that I'd find out, and she'd made sure Camila would reject me when I did. Was Camila calling Victoria right now? Was she telling her everything I'd said? And what was Victoria saying back? Probably something smooth and reassuring. Your mother is scared, sweetheart. She'll say anything to keep you close. I got up, walked to the living room, stood in front of the fireplace mantel. There was a photo of Camila at 7 years old, gap-toothed and grinning, her arms wrapped around my neck. She'd scraped her knee on the playground that day, ran to me sobbing, clutching my shirt like I was the only safe thing in the world. When had I stopped being that for her? When had Victoria convinced her I was the enemy? I sat at James's old desk in the corner of the living room. Opened my laptop. If Camila wouldn't believe my words, I needed proof. Something concrete. Something she couldn't deny. Bank records, court documents, testimony from other victims. Victoria had said just like the others, which meant she'd done this before, multiple times. If I could find those women, if I could show Camila a pattern. I typed into Google, Victoria Whitmore, Charlotte, North Carolina. The results loaded slowly. Then Whitmore Financial Consulting, LLC, dissolved. I clicked through to the Secretary of State's website. The company had been dissolved 2 years ago. Bankruptcy filing. I kept digging. Court records. Victoria's company had owed over $600,000 to creditors. Liens. Notices of default. Asset seizures. The business address led me to a photograph online. An abandoned office building. Boarded up windows. Graffiti on the walls. Property tax filings showed Victoria had sold her home 3 years ago. Foreclosure sale. No current address listed in Charlotte. She was either renting or living off the grid. I searched for personal records. Found a single mention in a local news archive from 4 years ago. Local woman alleges financial fraud by Charlotte family. Case dismissed. Insufficient evidence. The woman's name wasn't listed. But there it was. Evidence that someone had tried to stop Victoria before, and failed. I searched for Lucas's family. Found Tyler Whitmore, Lucas's older brother, in public records. 2 marriages. Both lasted less than 6 months. Both ended in bitter property disputes. One of the ex-wives had filed a restraining order. Details sealed. But the pattern was there. Clear as day. The sky outside was turning gray. Dawn creeping through the blinds. I hadn't slept a single second. My eyes burned. My head ached. but my mind was clearer than it had been in hours. I picked up my phone, found the business card Jessica had given me yesterday, her number written in blue ink. I typed a text. "This is Evelyn Sullivan. We met last night at the Golden Terrace. I need to know everything you know about Victoria Whitmore. Can we meet today?" I hit send. Then I sat back, stared at the laptop screen, at the photo of Camilla on the mantel, at the empty space beside me where James used to sleep. 6 days left. I wasn't giving up on my daughter. Not now. Not ever. My phone buzzed. "Unknown number, Mrs. Sullivan. This is Jessica Porter. Yes, we need to meet. 3 years ago, Victoria Whitmore destroyed my life. She took everything from me, and I know she's going to do the same thing to your daughter. Unknown number 3 p.m. today, Lucia's Cafe on East Boulevard. Come alone. Don't tell anyone. If Victoria finds out I'm talking to you, she'll disappear, and Camilla will lose everything." I typed back, "I'll be there." I tried to keep busy, made coffee I didn't drink, cleaned the kitchen, checked my phone every 5 minutes. No messages from Camilla. There was a knock at the door. I opened it to find Judith from next door. She was holding a casserole dish and wearing a concerned expression. "Evelyn, I heard from Camilla last night." My chest tightened. "What did she say?" Judith hesitated, shifted the casserole dish in her hands. "She's worried about you. She said you've been acting strange, that you're trying to sabotage her wedding." So it had already started. Victoria's narrative spreading through my life like poison. "Judith and Margaret, I know you're stressed." Her voice was gentle, pitying. "Weddings are hard on mothers, especially when you've raised a daughter alone. But maybe you should talk to someone. A therapist, maybe." She left the casserole on the porch and walked away before I could respond. I stood in the doorway watching her go, watching my neighbor, someone I'd known for 15 years, look at me like I was unstable. Victoria wasn't just isolating Camilla from me. She was isolating me from everyone. My phone rang. Unknown number. "Hello, Mrs. Sullivan." A young woman's voice, shaky but urgent. "This is Jessica. I know we're meeting at 3, but I need you to know something." "What?" "I've been watching Victoria for 6 months, tracking her. I got a job at Golden Terrace specifically because she goes there all the time. When I saw her name on the reservation list last week, I knew what she was planning." "You've been watching her for 6 months?" "Yes. After what she did to me, I couldn't just—" Her voice broke. "I couldn't let her do it again. When I saw Camilla's engagement announcement online, I knew they were targeting her. I had to do something." "Jessica, there's more." A pause. Heavy, loaded with meaning. "Your daughter didn't just meet Victoria at the engagement party. They've been meeting for weeks. Coffee shops, parks, private lunches. Victoria has been grooming her, planting ideas, making Camilla doubt you." The room tilted. "How many times?" "At least 7 that I've documented, Mrs. Sullivan. Camilla has been spending time with Victoria alone, without Lucas, without telling you. Victoria has been inside her head for months." I sank into a chair. That explained everything. Why Camilla had been so quick to reject my warning. Why she'd known exactly what Victoria would say. Why she'd called me controlling without me ever having acted that way before. Victoria hadn't just planned the fraud. She'd planned Camilla's entire response. "I have photos," Jessica said. "Timestamps, locations. I'll bring everything this afternoon. 3 o'clock. Lucia's Cafe." "I'll be there." She hung up. I sat alone in my kitchen, staring at nothing. I arrived at Lucia's Cafe 15 minutes early, found a table in the back corner, ordered coffee I didn't drink. The cafe was small, exposed brick walls, vintage posters, the smell of espresso and fresh pastries, a few college students typing on laptops, an elderly couple sharing a scone. Normal, ordinary, safe. But I didn't feel safe. Jessica Porter walked in. In the restaurant yesterday, she'd been in uniform, black pants, white shirt, hair pulled back. Professional, controlled. Now she wore jeans and an oversized cardigan. Her blonde hair hung loose around her shoulders. She looked exhausted. Dark circles under her eyes, the kind of tired that comes from carrying too much weight for too long. She spotted me, walked over, sat down without ordering anything. "Thank you for coming," I said. "Thank you for listening." She pulled a folder out of her bag, set it on the table between us. 3 years ago, I was engaged to Tyler Whitmore. Lucas's older brother. I leaned forward. Victoria was God. She was so charming, so warm. She told me I was like a daughter to her, that she'd always wanted a girl. Jessica's laugh was bitter, broken. I believed every word. What happened? 2 weeks after the wedding, I signed loan documents. Victoria said it was for Tyler's business, a tech startup. She made it sound so legitimate, showed me business plans, financial projections. Everything looked professional. How much? $88,000. I closed my eyes. I didn't even know until the first payment came due. 3 months after the wedding, $1,700. Due immediately. I called Tyler in a panic. He said it was a mistake, that he'd handle it. But he didn't. No, he divorced me 3 weeks later, vanished, changed his phone number, moved out of state. I tried to fight it, hired a lawyer, but my signature was on the documents, legally binding. No way to prove coercion. Her hands were trembling around her coffee cup. I lost my condo, filed for bankruptcy. I'm still paying off the debt. 2 part-time jobs, living with my sister. I'm 30 years old and I have nothing. I'm so sorry. Don't be sorry. Her eyes met mine, hard, determined. Help me stop her. She opened the folder, pulled out photographs, printed screenshots from social media. These are from the past 8 weeks. I looked down. 7 photographs. All of Camilla sitting across from Victoria at various locations. Starbucks, 6 weeks ago. Camilla laughing at something Victoria said. A park bench, 5 weeks ago. Victoria's hand on Camilla's arm. Intimate, maternal, inside a car, 4 weeks ago. Just the 2 of them, deep in conversation. A restaurant I didn't recognize. 3 weeks ago. Camilla looking serious. Victoria looking sympathetic. Each photo had a timestamp, a location, proof. Your daughter didn't just meet Victoria at the engagement party, Jessica said quietly. She's been groomed, carefully, systematically, for months. I couldn't breathe. What did Victoria tell her? I don't know for sure, but based on what she did to me, I can guess. Jessica pulled out a notebook, flipped it open. She probably told Camilla that you were scared of losing her, that mothers like you can't let go. That independence means making your own financial decisions without family interference. Each word hit like a hammer. She told Camilla that trusting Lucas meant trusting his family, that questioning the loan paperwork would insult them, that real love means having faith without asking for proof. Oh God. And most importantly, Jessica continued, her voice hard. She told Camilla that if you tried to interfere, it meant you didn't want her to be happy, that you were controlling, manipulative, toxic. That's exactly what Camilla had said last night, word for word. How did you know I'd be at the restaurant? I asked. I didn't, not for sure. But Victoria always does the same thing. She makes a reservation under the victim's mother's name, creates a paper trail showing the mother was invited to the planning. Then she cancels at the last minute and brings her own son instead. Why? Control. If anyone questions the loan later, Victoria can say, oh, Evelyn was involved in all the wedding planning. She knew about the financial arrangements. It creates confusion, reasonable doubt. This woman was a professional, a predator, operating with surgical precision. You've been tracking her, I said, for 6 months. Longer, since the divorce. I spent 2 years trying to rebuild my life. Then I decided I couldn't just let Victoria keep doing this. I started investigating. Found 3 other victims. 3, Jessica nodded. 1 moved to California. 1 settled quietly, signed an NDA. But there's 1 more still in Charlotte. Grace Palmer. She was married to Tyler 4 years ago. Lost $95,000. Lost her house. Will she talk to us? I don't know. I tried reaching out last year. She didn't respond. Too scared, probably. We need her, I said. If we can show a pattern, 3, 4, 5 victims, we can take this to the police, to a lawyer. Do you have time? The wedding is in 5 days. My hands clenched around my coffee cup. I have 5 days to save my daughter's life. Jessica looked at me for a long moment. Then she pulled out her phone, scrolled through contacts. I have Grace's old phone number. I'll try again. And I'll start documenting everything. Victoria's bankruptcies, Tyler's divorces, the court records. What about Camilla? She won't talk to me. She told me not to contact her until after the wedding. Then we build the case without her." Jessica's eyes were fierce. "We get evidence, we get testimony, we get a lawyer, and we stop Victoria before Camilla signs a single piece of paper." I nodded. "Where do we start?" Jessica leaned forward. "We call Grace Palmer, right now, and we pray she answers." She dialed. "Put the phone on speaker. Set it on the table between us." It rang once, twice, 3 times, then voicemail. A tired voice. "You've reached Grace Palmer. Please leave a message." Jessica and I looked at each other. "Miss Palmer," I said, speaking toward the phone. "My name is Evelyn Sullivan. My daughter is engaged to Lucas Whitmore. I believe your family had issues with his family. I need to talk to you. Please call me back." I left my number. Jessica hung up. "Now what?" I asked. "Now we wait." We sat in silence for a moment. 2 women who'd never met before yesterday, united by a single enemy. "Why are you doing this?" I finally asked. "You could have just walked away, started over somewhere else. Why risk exposing yourself to Victoria again?" Jessica's eyes met mine, and in them I saw something I recognized, something that matched what I felt burning in my own chest. "Because Victoria Whitmore doesn't get to do this again," she said quietly. "Not to your daughter, not to anyone, not on my watch." I reached across the table, took her hand, squeezed it. "Thank you. Don't thank me yet. We still have 5 days, and Victoria has been planning this for months." "Then we'd better get started." Jessica nodded, pulled out her notebook. "Here's what we know." My phone rang while Jessica and I were still sitting at Lucia's cafe, surrounded by printed court documents and handwritten notes. "Unknown number," I answered. "Hello." "This is Grace Palmer." The voice was cautious, tired. "You left me a message about Lucas Whitmore." I sat up straighter. Put the phone on speaker so Jessica could hear. "Miss Palmer, thank you for calling back. My daughter Camilla is engaged to Lucas. The wedding is in 5 days. I overheard Victoria planning to defraud her. Jessica Porter is here with me. She was married to Tyler." Silence, long enough that I thought she'd hung up. Then, "Put Jessica on." Jessica leaned toward the phone. "Grace, it's me. I know I reached out before and you didn't respond, but this is different. Evelyn's daughter is about to walk into the same trap we did. We need your help." Another pause. "How do I know you're not working for them?" "Because I lost everything too," Jessica said quietly. $88,000. 3 years of my life. I'm still paying it off. Grace, you know me. You know I'd never work with Victoria." "Where are you?" "Lucia's Cafe, East Boulevard." "I'll be there in 20 minutes. Don't leave." She hung up. Jessica and I looked at each other. "She's coming," I said. "She's terrified. Victoria threatened her after the divorce, told her if she talked to anyone, she'd file more lawsuits. Grace has been silent for 4 years. 23 minutes later, a woman walked into the cafe. Early 30s, dark hair pulled into a ponytail. She wore scrubs light blue with cartoon bears on them. A hospital ID badge hung from a lanyard around her neck. She spotted us, walked over, didn't sit down immediately. "You're Evelyn," she said. Not a question. "Yes, please sit." Grace pulled out a chair, sat on the edge of it like she might bolt at any second. Her hands were clasped tightly in her lap. "I don't have long. I'm on my lunch break. I have to be back at Carolina Medical in 40 minutes. "That's okay," I said gently. "Just tell us what happened." Grace looked at Jessica, then at me, then down at her hands. 4 years ago, I married Tyler Whitmore. Victoria was... She stopped, started again. "She made me feel like family, like I finally belonged somewhere. My own parents died when I was in college. I didn't have anyone. And Victoria, she knew exactly what to say." I recognized that pain in her voice, the betrayal of misplaced trust. 2 weeks after the wedding," Grace continued, "Victoria told me Tyler needed help with a business loan, medical equipment for a startup clinic. She showed me everything, business plan, projections, made it seem so professional." "How much?" Jessica asked softly. $95,000. Grace's voice cracked. "I signed. I thought I was helping my husband build our future." "When did you find out?" 3 months later. Tyler filed for divorce. The bank sent me a notice. First payment due, $2,200. I called Tyler in a panic. He wouldn't answer. His mother told me it was my responsibility, that I'd signed the documents, that Tyler had moved to Atlanta. Tears were running down Grace's face now. She didn't wipe them away. I tried to fight, hired a lawyer, but my signature was on everything. The notary confirmed I'd signed willingly. No coercion, no fraud they could prove. What happened to your house? I asked. Lost it. Foreclosure. 8 months after the divorce. I'd bought it with money from my parents' life insurance. It was the only thing I had left of them. Her voice broke completely. I filed for bankruptcy. Moved into a studio apartment. Picked up extra shifts. I'm still rebuilding. Jessica reached across the table, took Grace's hand. I'm so sorry, I said. But Grace, if you help us show the pattern, we can stop Victoria from doing this to my daughter. Grace looked up at me. Her eyes were red, haunted. If your daughter is already involved with Victoria, I don't know if you can save her. Victoria is good at this. She knows how to make you willingly destroy yourself. But you'll help us. Grace was quiet for a long moment. Then she nodded. Yes, I'll do whatever it takes to stop them. Relief flooded through me. Thank you. What do you need from me? Jessica pulled out her notebook. We need everything. Bank statements, loan documents, court records from the divorce, anything that shows the timeline and the amounts. I have all of it. I kept everything. I don't know why. Maybe I always hoped I'd get a chance to... She stopped. I'll bring it. Today, if you can. We're meeting at Evelyn's house tonight, 6 o'clock. Grace nodded, pulled out her phone. Give me the address. I wrote it down for her. She stood up. Mrs. Sullivan, Grace said, your daughter is lucky to have a mother who fights for her. Mine would have done the same thing. Then she was gone, back to her shift, back to saving children's lives while still carrying the weight of what Victoria had done to her. Grace arrived first, carrying a banker's box full of documents. She set it on my kitchen table. 4 years of evidence. Jessica came 10 minutes later with her own folder. 3 years' worth. We spread everything out. Court records, bank statements, loan agreements, divorce papers, photographs, a timeline of destruction. Okay, Jessica said, pulling out a notepad. Let's map this out. I made coffee. Strong. We were going to be here a while. First victim we know about, Jessica began. Sophia Bennett, 5 years ago, married Tyler, $102,000, divorced after 4 months, settled quietly, moved to California. Grace added, I found a record of her online. She signed an NDA, won't talk. Second victim, Jessica continued. Emma Rhodes, 4.5 years ago, also Tyler, $95,000. Same pattern, divorced after 5 months, filed bankruptcy, lost her teaching job because of credit issues. Third victim, Grace Palmer, 4 years ago, Tyler again, $95,000, 4 months. We know this story. Grace nodded grimly. Fourth victim, me, Jessica Porter, 3 years ago, Tyler, $88,000, 3 months. I did the math in my head. That's $380,000 across 5 years. And now Camilla, Jessica said. Lucas this time, not Tyler, $220,000, the biggest score yet. Why is Camilla's amount higher? I asked. Her condo, Grace said. It's worth more, and she has good credit. They can leverage more debt against her. The calculation was chilling, cold, efficient. Jessica pulled out her phone, opened a photo album. Now look at this. I told you Victoria has been grooming Camilla. Here's the proof. She laid her phone on the table, started swiping through photos. Photo 1, Camilla and Victoria at Starbucks, 8 weeks ago, both smiling, coffee cups on the table between them. Camilla's body language was open, trusting. Photo 2, a park bench, 7 weeks ago. Victoria's hand on Camilla's arm, intimate, maternal, the way a mother touches a daughter. Photo 3, inside a car, 6 weeks ago. Victoria in the driver's seat, Camilla in the passenger seat. Deep conversation, Camilla looking serious. Photo 4, a restaurant I didn't recognize, 5 weeks ago. Victoria leaning forward, Camilla leaning in too, engaged, listening. More photos, more locations, more evidence that my daughter had been spending time with Victoria, alone, without telling me. How did you get these? I asked. I followed her. Whenever I wasn't working, I watched Victoria's house, followed her car, documented everywhere she went. Jessica's expression was hard, determined. I know it sounds obsessive. Maybe it is, but I couldn't let her do this again. When did the meeting start? 3 months ago, right after Camilla and Lucas got engaged. 3 months, 12 weeks of manipulation, of careful, systematic grooming. What do you think Victoria told her? I asked. Grace answered. The same thing she told me, that mothers like you are scared of losing control, that real independence means making financial decisions without family interference, that questioning Lucas means you don't trust him. Jessica nodded. She told me my mother was jealous, that she couldn't handle me being happy, that if I really loved Tyler, I'd trust him completely, no questions asked. Each word was a knife. Victoria creates doubt, Grace continued. She finds your insecurities and exploits them. For me, it was losing my parents. I was desperate for family. For you, Mrs. Sullivan, it's probably that Camilla is your only child, that you raised her alone after your husband died. She was right. God, she was right. Victoria had looked at my life and seen exactly where to strike. So what do we do? I asked. Jessica leaned back in her chair. We need a lawyer, a good one, someone who specializes in fraud. I know someone, Grace said. William Harris. He handled my bankruptcy. He's the best in Charlotte. If anyone can help us, it's him. Will he see us on short notice? For this, yes. Let me call him. Grace stepped into the living room, made the call, came back 3 minutes later. Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., his office downtown. Thank you, I said. We spent the next 2 hours organizing everything, creating a timeline, documenting patterns, building a case. At 8:30, Grace's phone rang. She looked at the screen, frowned. It's my sister. I should take this. She walked into the hallway. Jessica and I kept working, but something felt wrong, a prickling at the back of my neck. Grace came back. Her face was pale. What's wrong? I asked. My sister just saw something on Facebook, a post from Victoria Whitmore, about Camilla. Ice flooded my veins. What kind of post? Grace turned her phone around. It was a photo. Camilla and Victoria at what looked like a bridal boutique, both smiling. Camilla was holding up a veil. The caption read, "Shopping with my beautiful future daughter-in-law. Can't wait for Saturday #wedding week, #mother of the groom, #blessed posted 4 hours ago. 37 likes, 12 comments. All congratulations and heart emojis." She's still grooming her, Jessica said quietly. Right up until the end. I stared at that photo, at my daughter's smile, at Victoria's arm around her shoulders, and I felt something inside me harden into steel. We're not letting this happen, I said. Whatever it takes, we're stopping her. The law office was in a high-rise downtown, glass and chrome, the kind of place that charged by the minute. William Harris was 49, silver hair, sharp eyes that missed nothing. He'd been practicing law for 25 years, specialized in financial fraud and bankruptcy. He invited us into his conference room, gestured to chairs around a polished table. Grace told me about your situation, he said to me. Your daughter is getting married Saturday. You believe the groom's family is planning fraud. I know they are, I said. I overheard them planning it. Tell me everything. I did. The restaurant, the overheard conversation, Victoria's exact words, the loan amount, the timing, the offshore accounts. Then Jessica told her story, then Grace. 2 victims, 2 identical schemes, separated by years but following the same pattern. William took notes, asked questions, listened carefully. When we finished, he set down his pen. This is sophisticated, he said. Professional. They've been doing this for years. The problem is that every victim signed willingly. No physical coercion, no explicit threats, just manipulation. Can you stop them? I asked. We need to catch them before your daughter signs. We need proof of fraud in action. How? We go to the police, set up a sting, controlled environment, hidden cameras, audio recording. Let Victoria, Lucas, and Camilla show up. Let them start the process. Record everything. When the intent to defraud is clear, the police move in. My stomach dropped. You want me to let my daughter walk into a trap? I want to save your daughter from destroying her life, William said gently. If she signs those documents, she'll lose everything. Her condo, her credit, her future, and Victoria will disappear, just like she did with Jessica and Grace. But Camilla will be arrested. Possibly, initially, but given the manipulation factor, the DA's office will almost certainly offer immunity in exchange for testimony against Victoria. Jessica leaned forward. It's the only way, Mrs. Sullivan. If we just warn Camilla, Victoria will change the plan. Accelerate the timeline. We won't get another chance. I closed my eyes, thought about my daughter, my baby girl who used to crawl into my lap when she had nightmares, who called me every Sunday just to talk, who was about to marry a man planning to destroy her. Okay, I whispered. Set it up. William pulled out his phone. I have a contact at Charlotte PD, Detective Linda Crawford. She handles financial crimes. If anyone can make this work, it's her. He dialed, put the phone on speaker. Crawford. Linda, it's William Harris. I have a case you need to hear about. 20 minutes later, we had a meeting scheduled for that afternoon. 2 p.m., Charlotte Police Department. Detective Linda Crawford had the eyes of someone who'd seen too many victims. She listened to our story. All of it. The restaurant, the victims, the pattern, the evidence. When we finished, she leaned back in her chair. How much time do we have? 3 days, I said. The wedding is Saturday. They'll make Camilla sign the paperwork right after the ceremony. Crawford nodded. We can work with that. But there are conditions. What conditions? We need clear evidence of intent to defraud. That means letting the process start. Letting your daughter show up. Letting Victoria and Lucas show intent. And if Camilla participates, I asked. My voice was shaking. She'll be detained, questioned. But Mrs. Sullivan, if your daughter genuinely doesn't know this is fraud, if she's been manipulated, the DA will see that. We're not after victims. We're after predators. What do you need from us? Everything you've given me, plus testimony. All 3 of you need to be willing to testify about your experiences with the Whitmore family. Jessica nodded. I'll testify. Grace said me too. Okay. Crawford pulled out a notepad. Here's what we'll do. Friday morning, 10 a.m., we have a notary who works with us. Helen Vance. We'll set up a fake appointment. Make it look legitimate. Victoria will think it's her own setup, but it'll be ours. We're 415 South Tryon Street, Suite 302. We'll have cameras, audio, undercover officers in the adjacent suite. When Victoria and Lucas attempt to execute the fraud, we move in. What about Camilla? I asked. She's not talking to me. How do we make sure she shows up? Crawford's expression was grim. Victoria will make sure. She's been planning this for months. She won't let it fall apart now. Trust me, your daughter will be there. And then what? Then we arrest Victoria Whitmore, and we give your daughter a chance to help us put her away. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, kept checking my phone for messages from Camilla that never came. Jessica and Grace had gone home. William had promised to file the necessary paperwork for the sting operation. Detective Crawford was coordinating with her team. Everything was in motion, but something was nagging at me. A detail I couldn't quite place. My phone rang. William Harris. Evelyn, we have a problem. My chest tightened. What kind of problem? My investigator ran phone records. We needed to establish communication patterns between Victoria and Lucas. Standard procedure for a fraud case. And we found something else. He paused, heavy, loaded with meaning. Camilla has been in contact with Victoria, extensively, almost daily for the past 2 months. I know. Jessica showed me photos of them meeting. No, I mean after your confrontation, after you warned Camilla. She's been calling Victoria, multiple times a day, long conversations. The room tilted. What are you saying? I'm saying your daughter has been reporting back to Victoria about your investigation. No, that couldn't be. We have call logs, Evelyn, 15 to 20-minute phone calls. Timestamps show they happened right after your attempts to contact Camilla, right after Grace called her, right after any communication from our side. I couldn't breathe. There's more. We subpoenaed text messages. Look, I'm going to forward some of these to you, but I need to warn you they're difficult to read. My phone buzzed. Messages from William. Screenshots. I opened them. Text from Camilla to Victoria. Monday 6:47 p.m. Mom knows something. She overheard you at the restaurant. She's trying to stop the wedding. Text from Victoria to Camilla. Monday 6:51 p.m. Don't worry, darling. We discussed this. Your mother is scared of losing you. This is exactly what I said would happen. Text from Camilla to Victoria. Monday 9:23 p.m. She mentioned other victims. Women you supposedly did this to before. Text from Victoria to Camilla. Monday 9:26 p.m. Bitter ex-wives making up stories. Your mom is believing gossip instead of trusting the family you're marrying into. Text from Camilla to Victoria. Tuesday 11:14 a.m. Someone named Grace Palmer called me. Said she was married to Tyler. Do you know her? Text from Victoria to Camilla. Tuesday 11:18 a.m. Grace had psychological problems. Tyler tried to help her, but she became obsessed. Eventually, he had to file for divorce. She's been spreading lies about our family ever since. I kept scrolling. More messages, more evidence that my daughter had been actively helping Victoria, reporting everything we did, every move we made. She wasn't just a victim. She was an accomplice. I dropped the phone, pressed my hands against the kitchen table to keep from falling. Evelyn, William's voice came through the speaker. Are you there? How could she? My voice didn't sound like mine. How could she do this to me? She doesn't understand what she's doing. Victoria has convinced her that you're the threat, that she's protecting Lucas, protecting herself. But she's helping them destroy her own life. Yes, which is why we have to move forward with the sting. It's the only way to show her the truth. I couldn't speak, couldn't form words. Evelyn, I know this is hard, but we're going to save your daughter, even from herself. He hung up. I sat alone in my kitchen, stared at those text messages, read them again and again until the words blurred. My daughter, my baby girl, the child I'd raised alone for 5 years after James died, who I'd worked double shifts to put through nursing school, who I'd protected from every hurt and disappointment I could. She'd chosen Victoria over me, not just passively, not just by not believing me. She'd actively betrayed me, reported my every move, helped the woman planning to destroy her. And the worst part, the absolute worst part, was that she thought she was doing the right thing. I woke up at 5 in the morning, hadn't slept, couldn't sleep, wrote a letter to Camilla, just in case everything went wrong. My darling girl, if you're reading this, it means I failed to protect you. I want you to know I never stopped loving you, even when you chose them over me, even when you helped them try to destroy your own life. I hope someday you'll understand what I tried to do. I hope someday you'll forgive me. Love, Mom. I folded it, put it in an envelope, tucked it in my desk drawer. Then I went to the kitchen, made coffee, tried to prepare myself for what was coming. My phone buzzed. Text from Jessica. Grace and I are meeting with Detective Crawford this morning. Final walkthrough of the sting operation. Want to come? Yes. What time? 10 a.m. Police station. Detective Crawford spread blueprints across the conference table. 415 South Tryon, Suite 302, the notary office. Helen Vance has been working with us for 5 years. She knows exactly what to do. She pointed to the layout. Cameras here, here, and here. Audio recorders throughout. 2 officers in the adjacent suite. I'll be monitoring from a van outside. What about Evelyn? Jessica asked. Where will she be? Back room. Behind a 2-way mirror. She'll be able to see and hear everything, but they won't know she's there. I looked at that blueprint. At the small room marked observation. I'd be hiding again, just like at the restaurant, watching while my daughter's life was on the line. When do we tell Camilla? I asked. Crawford met my eyes. We don't. Not until after the arrest. If we tip her off, Victoria will know. She'll disappear. We'll lose our chance. So I just watch. Yes. And Mrs. Sullivan, I need you to prepare yourself. When your daughter walks into that room, she's going to think she's signing legitimate paperwork. She's going to trust Victoria. You're going to watch her almost destroy her own life. It will be the hardest thing you've ever done. I already knew that. I tried to keep busy, cleaned, did laundry, anything to keep my mind occupied. At 3:15, my doorbell rang. I opened it to find Judith from next door. Again. This time, she wasn't holding a casserole. Evelyn, I just got off the phone with Camilla. My chest tightened. What did she say? She's worried you're going to do something to disrupt the wedding. She asked me to... Judith hesitated. She asked me to make sure you're okay, to maybe suggest you stay home Saturday. Stay home from my own daughter's wedding. She thinks you're not yourself right now, that you're under a lot of stress. She's concerned about you. Victoria's work, isolating me, making everyone think I was unstable. Tell Camilla I won't disrupt anything, I said. It was true. The police would handle it. Not me. Judith left. I closed the door, leaned against it. 2 more days, 48 hours until everything either came together or fell completely apart. A car drove slowly past my house. I was standing at the living room window, saw the headlights, watched the car slow down. Stop. It was Camilla's car, her blue Honda Civic. I'd recognize it anywhere. She sat there for 5 minutes, just sitting, engine running, looking up at my house. I wanted to run outside, pound on her window, beg her to listen, to trust me, to see the truth. But if I did, she'd call Victoria, report everything. The sting would be compromised. So I stood at my window and watched my daughter watch my house. Finally, she drove away. My phone buzzed. Text from Detective Crawford. Target received call from Victoria. Appointment confirmed for tomorrow 10 a.m. It's happening. Tomorrow, not Saturday. They were moving up the timeline. I sank to the floor, back against the wall. Tomorrow morning I'd watch my daughter walk into a trap. Tomorrow morning she'd either be saved or destroyed, and I wouldn't be able to do anything but watch. I arrived at 415 South Tryon Street before anyone else. Detective Crawford was already there, setting up, running final checks. You ready? She asked me. No, but let's do it anyway. She led me to the back room. Small, dark. A 2-way mirror looking into the notary's office. A chair. A monitor showing multiple camera angles. William Harris arrived at 8:50. Took a position outside with Crawford. Jessica and Grace came at 8:55. They'd testify after the arrest. For now, they waited in an unmarked car down the street. Helen Vance, the notary, was already in position. Calm. Professional. She'd done this dozens of times. I sat in that dark room, watched the empty office through the mirror, prayed. Crawford's voice came through my earpiece. Suspect 1 approaching. I leaned forward, watched the door. Victoria Whitmore walked in. She wore a black blazer, heels, hair perfectly styled. She looked like a successful businesswoman, like someone you'd trust with your life savings. Good morning, she said to Helen. Her voice was smooth, friendly. Are we ready? Yes, ma'am. Just waiting for the other parties. Victoria checked her phone, tapped her manicured nails on the desk, confident, in control, like she'd done this 100 times before. The door opened again. Lucas Whitmore stepped in. He wore a suit, navy blue, but his hands were shaking. He wouldn't meet his mother's eyes. Sit down, Victoria said, sharp, and stop looking guilty. Lucas sat, silent, staring at the floor. He knew what they were about to do, and he was doing it anyway. Still no Camilla. My heart was racing. What if she didn't come? What if she'd figured it out? What if Victoria had warned her? Victoria pulled out her phone, made a call. I couldn't hear what she was saying, but her expression was carefully controlled, persuasive, soothing. She was calling Camilla, pulling her in. Victoria hung up, smiled at Helen. She'll be here any minute, Crawford's voice in my earpiece. Target spotted, entering the building. This was it. The door opened. Camilla stepped inside. I pressed my hand against the mirror, like I could reach through it and pull her back out. She wore the blue dress I'd bought her for her birthday last year. Her hair was down, loose around her shoulders. Her face was pale, tired, scared. But she was here. Sweetheart, Victoria stood, opened her arms. Come in, come in. We have some paperwork to take care of. Camilla hesitated in the doorway. For 1 second, 1 perfect second, I thought she was going to turn around, walk out, choose herself. But then Lucas stood, walked to her, took her hand. It's okay, he said softly. This is just a formality. Then we can focus on the wedding. Camilla looked at him, looked at Victoria, looked at the notary. She sat down. Crawford's voice through my earpiece. All suspects present. Operation is live. I watched through that mirror, helpless, as my daughter prepared to destroy her own life, and all I could do was pray we'd gotten there in time. Helen Vance opened a folder, pulled out documents. Her voice was professional, clear, every word captured by hidden microphones. Good morning, Miss Sullivan. Today we'll be notarizing several loan documents and mortgage agreements. Camilla shifted in her seat. Wait, why are we doing this now? I thought, Lucas, you said this was about the marriage license. It is, sweetheart, Victoria said quickly, smoothly. But there are some financial documents that need to be handled first. Standard procedure. What kind of financial documents? Helen read from the papers, making sure the cameras caught every detail. Loan 1, $120,000 in the name of Camilla Sullivan for business investment purposes. Camilla's head snapped up. Business investment? What business? The practice Lucas and I are opening, Victoria said. We discussed this, remember the consulting firm? You said that was funded. You said business loan too, Helen continued. $65,000 collateral listed as residential property at 2847 Dilworth Road. My daughter's condo, the one she'd saved for 3 years to buy, the one she'd been so proud of. Collateral, Camilla stood up. My condo, Victoria, what is this? Sit down, darling. Victoria's voice was still calm, still controlled, but I could hear the edge in it now. This is standard business practice. You're becoming part of the family. Family means shared financial responsibility. Personal guarantee, Helen read. $35,000 unsecured. Camilla turned to Lucas. Did you know about this? Lucas stared at the floor, said nothing. Lucas, Camilla's voice was rising, getting louder. Answer me. Total liability, Helen said clearly. $220,000 to be repaid over 15 years at 12% interest. $220,000. Camilla backed away from the table. That's I can't. Of course you can, Victoria said. She was standing now, moving toward Camilla. The loan is structured perfectly, manageable payments, and Lucas and I will help with help, Camilla laughed. It was a terrible sound. Broken. This is my name on these documents, my condo, my credit. You're not offering to help me, you're asking me to... She stopped. Her face went white. She'd finally seen it. The trap, the con, the truth her mother had tried to warn her about. Oh my God, Camilla whispered. Mom was right. She was right about everything. Your mother is paranoid, Victoria snapped. The mask was slipping now. She's been trying to sabotage this wedding from the beginning. Now sit down and sign the papers. No. Excuse me, no. Camilla's voice was stronger now. I'm not signing anything. Lucas, we're leaving right now. Lucas didn't move. Lucas, Camilla grabbed his arm. We're leaving. He's not going anywhere, Victoria said. Cold. Final. Neither are you. Not until you sign. You can't make me... Can't I? Victoria's smile was cruel now. All pretense gone. You think you can walk away? You've already told me everything. Your mother's investigation. The women she found. Her lawyer. I know exactly what she's planning. And if you don't sign these papers right now, I will destroy you anyway. I'll tell everyone you were in on it from the beginning. That you knew. That you helped. Camilla's face was white. That's not I didn't you? You reported everything to me. Every phone call. Every meeting. Every attempt your mother made to save you. You were my accomplice, Camilla. My partner. And if I go down, you're coming with me. I couldn't take it anymore. I stood up, moved toward the door, William's voice in my earpiece. Evelyn, no, not yet, Crawford. Mrs. Sullivan, stay in position. But I was already moving, through the door, into the hallway, into the notary's office. Everyone turned. Camilla's eyes went wide. Mom! Time stopped. The world shrank to just the two of us, my daughter and me, standing in the wreckage of Victoria's lies. I tried to tell you, I said. My voice was shaking, tears streaming down my face. I tried, sweetheart. Camilla stared at me, then at Victoria, then at Lucas, then back at me. Reality crashing down, truth replacing lies. What have I done? She whispered. The room froze, everyone staring at me standing in the doorway, tears streaming down my face, my hands shaking. Mom, Camilla's voice was barely a whisper. What are you doing here? I stepped forward, slowly, like approaching a wounded animal that might bolt at any sudden movement. I've been here the whole time, sweetheart, watching, listening. praying you'd see the truth before it was too late. Victoria recovered first, that smooth, controlled mask sliding back into place. Well, Evelyn, what a dramatic entrance, though I suppose I shouldn't be surprised. You've been trying to sabotage this wedding from the beginning. Sabotage, I laughed. It came out harsh, bitter. I've been trying to save my daughter from a con artist. Strong words from a woman who's been stalking my family. I overheard you at the Golden Terrace restaurant 6 days ago, I said, voice steady now, cold. You and Lucas, planning exactly this. $220,000 in Camila's name. Her condo as collateral. Divorce in 6 months. Money moved offshore. Just like the others, you said. Remember, Victoria's face went still, calculating. You had a waitress help you, she said slowly. That little blonde, Jessica something. I thought she looked familiar. Jessica Porter, your former daughter-in-law, one of your victims. She's been tracking you for 3 years, ever since you destroyed her life and stole $88,000 from her. Camila turned to Victoria. What is she talking about? Your mother is delusional. Grace Palmer, I continued. Another victim, married to Tyler 4 years ago, $95,000, lost her house, filed for bankruptcy. She's waiting outside right now, ready to testify. Mom, what? There are more, I said, looking at my daughter. Only at her. Sophia Bennett, Emma Rhodes, 4 women before you, Camilla. 4 marriages, 4 divorces, all within 6 months, all left bankrupt, all following the exact same pattern. Victoria's expression was ice. You have no proof. Actually, Detective Crawford said, stepping through the door behind me. 2 uniformed officers with her. We have all the proof we need. This entire conversation has been recorded. Audio and video, every word. Victoria's eyes went wide, just for a second, then narrowed. You set a trap. We did, Crawford said. Victoria Whitmore, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit fraud, attempted grand larceny, and extortion. The officers moved forward. One of them pulled out handcuffs. You can't do this, Victoria said, but her voice was shaking now, the control cracking. I have lawyers, expensive lawyers. I'll be out before you finish the paperwork. I don't think so. Crawford's voice was granite. We have 4 victims prepared to testify. We have recorded conversations. We have a pattern spanning 7 years and over $600,000 in theft. You're not going anywhere, Mrs. Whitmore. The officer reached for Victoria's wrists. She jerked back. Don't touch me. Ma'am, you need to cooperate. Get your hands off me. Victoria's voice was rising, getting shrill, the mask completely gone now. Do you know who I am? Do you know what kind of connections I have? We know exactly who you are, Crawford said. A con artist, a predator, someone who targets vulnerable young women and destroys their lives for profit. The officer managed to get the handcuffs on. The click of metal was loud in the silent room. Victoria turned to Camilla. One last attempt, one last manipulation. This is your fault, she hissed. You were supposed to be easy, weak. Instead, you had to have a mother who actually cared. Do you know how rare that is? Then she looked at me and smiled, cold, cruel. But it doesn't matter, because Camila helped me. She reported everything to me, every move you made, every woman you found. She was my accomplice Evelyn, my partner, and when this goes to court, I'll make sure everyone knows it. The officers led her toward the door. She didn't fight anymore, just walked, chin up, like she was the victim here. As she passed Camilla, she stopped. Weak, Victoria whispered. Just like your mother. Then she was gone, escorted out by police, out of our lives. The room was silent. Camilla stood frozen, staring at the empty doorway, her face white, tears running down her cheeks. Lucas hadn't moved, still sitting at the table, head in his hands. Detective Crawford turned to him. Mr. Whitmore, I need you to come with me. We have questions about your involvement in this scheme. Lucas looked up. His face was gray, hollow. I'll tell you everything, he said quietly. Every victim, every loan, every lie. I'll testify against my mother. I'll tell you everything she did. Crawford nodded. Smart choice. As the officers escorted Lucas out, he stopped in front of Camilla. I'm sorry, he said. I tried to stop it. I tried to tell you, but his voice broke. She's my mother, and I was weak. I'm so sorry. Camilla didn't respond, didn't even look at him. He left. Now it was just the three of us. Me, Camilla, Detective Crawford. Miss Sullivan, Crawford said gently, I need you to come with me. We need to take your statement. We need to understand exactly what you knew and when you knew it. Camilla's voice was barely audible. Am I being arrested? Not yet, but you were involved in this scheme even if unknowingly. You reported back to Mrs. Whitmore about your mother's investigation. That makes you at minimum an accessory. I didn't know, Camilla's voice cracked. I thought I was protecting Lucas. I thought Mom was trying to control me. I didn't know. I understand, Crawford said, which is why we need your statement. We need to establish what you knew and what you were told. Depending on your level of cooperation, the district attorney's office will decide whether to file charges. Camilla turned to me, her eyes red, desperate. Mom, I wanted to run to her, wanted to wrap my arms around her and tell her everything would be okay, but I couldn't move, couldn't speak, because I didn't know if everything would be okay. My daughter had betrayed me, had helped Victoria, had chosen a con artist over her own mother, and I didn't know if I could forgive that. Tell them the truth, I finally said. My voice sounded dead, empty. Everything. That's the only way. Crawford nodded to Camilla. Let's go. Camilla walked toward the door, stopped, turned back. Mom, tears streaming. I love you. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I couldn't answer. The words stuck in my throat. Camilla left with Crawford, and I stood alone in that notary's office, surrounded by the unsigned documents that would have destroyed my daughter's life. We'd stopped it. Barely. By seconds. But at what cost I sat in a hallway outside the interrogation room where Camilla was giving her statement. Jessica and Grace sat with me. William Harris paced, making phone calls to the district attorney's office. Through the door I could hear Camilla's voice, muffled, tearful, answering questions. Did you know the loans were fraudulent? No. I thought they were legitimate business loans. But you reported your mother's investigation to Victoria Whitmore. Yes. A sob. Oh God, yes. I told her everything. Why, because Victoria told me she said Mom was scared of losing me, that mothers like her can't let go, that she'd seen it before, women who sabotage their daughter's happiness out of jealousy. And you believed her? Yes. She was so convincing, so kind. She made me feel like I was finally part of a real family. After Dad died, it was just me and Mom. And I loved Mom, but I felt suffocated sometimes, like I couldn't grow up, couldn't have my own life. Each word was a knife. Jessica put her hand on my shoulder. She didn't understand what she was doing. But she did it, I said quietly. She chose Victoria over me. She helped them. Because Victoria is a professional, Grace said. She found Camilla's weakness and exploited it, just like she did to all of us. William came over, sat down beside me. I just spoke to the district attorney. They're willing to offer Camilla full immunity in exchange for her testimony against Victoria and Lucas. Relief flooded through me. She won't be charged. No criminal charges, but Evelyn, he hesitated. The DA made it clear that Camilla's cooperation has to be complete. Full testimony. Every meeting with Victoria, every conversation, every lie she was told and every truth she reported back. It won't be easy for her. But she'll be free. Yes. I closed my eyes. Thank God. 5:23 p.m. The interrogation room door opened. Camilla stepped out with Detective Crawford. Her face was pale, exhausted. She looked like she'd aged 10 years. She saw me, stopped. We stared at each other across the hallway. 15 feet. It might as well have been 15 miles. Your daughter has agreed to cooperate fully, Crawford said to me. She'll testify at trial. In exchange, the DA is dropping all potential charges against her. Thank you, I whispered. Crawford nodded. Miss Sullivan is free to go, but I strongly recommend she doesn't leave town. We'll need her available for depositions meetings with the prosecutor and eventually trial. Camilla nodded. Didn't speak. Crawford left. Now it was just the 5 of us in that hallway. Me, Camilla, Jessica, Grace, William, Camila looked at Jessica and Grace. You're the other victims. Yes, Jessica said. I'm sorry, I didn't know. We know, Grace said gently. Victoria is very good at lying. We all believed her too. Camila turned to me, took a step forward. Mom, I held up my hand, stopped her. Don't. Please, I need to explain. Not now. My voice was shaking. I can't do this right now. Mom, you helped her, Camila. The words came out harsh, broken. You told her everything. Every move I made, every woman I found. You were on her side. Against me. I didn't know. You should have trusted me. I was crying now. Couldn't stop it. I'm your mother. I raised you. I worked double shifts to put you through nursing school. I was there for every scraped knee, every broken heart, every moment you needed me. And when I needed you to trust me just once, you chose her. Camila was sobbing. I know, and I hate myself for it. But please, I need time, I said. I can't look at you right now. I walked past her, down the hallway, out of the police station, into the parking lot. Behind me, I heard Camila calling my name, but I didn't stop. I got in my car, drove home, alone. William Harris called while I was sitting in my dark living room staring at nothing. Evelyn, I wanted to update you. My investigator finished compiling the complete victim list. How many? My voice was hoarse from crying. 5 confirmed victims, 4 before Camila. He read through this list. Victim number 1, Sophia Bennett. Married Tyler Whitmore 5 years ago. $102,000 in fraudulent loans. Divorced after 4 months. Settled out of court with NDA, moved to California. Still paying off debt. Victim number 2, Emma Rhodes, married Tyler 4.5 years ago. $95,000 in loans. Divorced after 5 months. Lost her teaching job due to credit issues. Filed for bankruptcy. Now works retail to make ends meet. Victim number 3, Grace Palmer. Married Tyler 4 years ago. $95,000 in loans. Divorced after 4 months. Lost her house. Still rebuilding. Victim number 4, Jessica Porter. Married Tyler 3 years ago. $88,000 in loans. Divorced after 3 months. Working 2 jobs. Still paying off debt. Victim number 5, attempted Camila Sullivan. Engaged to Lucas Whitmore. Target amount $220,000. Stopped before completion. Total attempted theft across 5 victims over $600,000, Williams said. Spanning 7 years. This is organized crime, Evelyn. This is a family business. What happens now? Victoria is being held without bail. The judge agreed she's a flight risk. Tyler is being brought back from Atlanta. There's a warrant out for his arrest. Lucas is cooperating. He's agreed to testify against both his mother and brother. When's the trial? Not for several months. DA wants to build an airtight case. They're reaching out to Sophia and Emma, trying to get them to testify despite the NDAs. Will they? I think so. Once they hear there are other victims. Once they realize they weren't alone. After William hung up, I sat in the darkness. Thought about 5 women. 5 lives destroyed. 5 families torn apart. We'd stopped number 5 just in time. But the cost. God, the cost was so high. 123 days since the arrest. 123 letters from Camila. They arrived every morning. Hand-delivered. Left on my front porch. Never mailed. Which meant Camila drove to my house every single day. Left a letter. Drove away. For 123 days I didn't open them. They piled up on my kitchen table. A tower of envelopes. A monument to my daughter's guilt and my inability to forgive. I lived alone. Ate alone. Slept alone. Worked part-time at the hospital just enough to keep busy. Avoided everyone who asked about Camila. Jessica and Grace called weekly, checking on me, updating me on trial preparations, reminding me I wasn't alone. But I felt alone. The wedding, if you could still call it that, had been canceled, obviously. Deposits lost. Guests notified. Camila had moved out of her condo. Couldn't afford it anymore without the nursing job she'd taken a leave from. She was staying with a friend across town. We hadn't spoken since the police station. Not one word in 123 days. December 18th, letter number 124. This morning something changed. I woke up, made coffee, Walked to the front door to get the newspaper. There was the letter. Number 124. White envelope. My name written in Camila's handwriting. I picked it up, stared at it, then turned and looked at the pile on my kitchen table. 124 letters. 124 days of my daughter trying to reach me. I sat down, stared at that pile, and something inside me broke. Or maybe it started to heal. I picked up the first letter, the one from the day after the arrest. My hands shook as I opened it. Mom, I don't know what words to use. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't even know if I deserve to write to you. But I need you to know I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I was wrong. About everything. About Victoria. About Lucas. About you. You tried to save me, and I helped them try to destroy you. I don't know how to live with that. I love you. Camilla short, simple, raw. I opened the second letter. From 2 days later. Mom, I can't sleep. Every time I close my eyes, I see your face in that notary's office. The way you looked at me. The way you said you couldn't look at me right now. I deserve that. I know I do. But it's killing me. I went to therapy yesterday. Dr. Sarah Walsh. She specializes in manipulation victims. She said what Victoria did to me has a name: grooming, psychological abuse, systematic isolation. I'm not using that as an excuse. I made choices, bad choices, choices that hurt you. But maybe understanding how it happened can help me make sure I never let it happen again. I love you. Camilla, I kept reading, letter after letter, a chronicle of my daughter's journey through guilt therapy and slow, painful growth. Letter number 15, week 2, started working retail at Target. Part-time, need to pay rent, need to do something. Letter number 28, week 4, Dr. Walsh says I need to forgive myself. I don't know how to do that. How do you forgive yourself for betraying your own mother? Letter number 45, week 6, saw you at the grocery store today. You didn't see me. You looked tired. I wanted to run up to you, wanted to hug you, but I stayed in my car and cried instead. Letter number 67, week 9, gave my deposition today for the trial. Had to recount every meeting with Victoria, every lie she told me, every truth I told her about you. It took 4 hours. I threw up twice. Letter number 89, week 12, Dr. Walsh asked me what I learned from this. I said trust the people who've always been there, not the people who show up when it's convenient. Letter number 103, week 14, found a new job. A nonprofit that fights financial fraud. They teach young women about manipulation, red flags in relationships. They hired me because of my story, because I lived through it. I stopped at that one, read it again. My daughter was turning her pain into purpose, using her experience to help others. Letter number 118, week 16, Mom. I know you're not reading these, but I need to keep writing them. It's the only way I can reach you, the only way I can say what I need to say. I'm not the same person who believed Victoria's lies. I'm not the girl who chose a con artist over her own mother. I'm trying to become someone better, someone you might be proud of one day. Even if you never forgive me, I want you to know you were right about everything. You tried to save me, and you did save me, even though I didn't deserve it. I love you. Camilla, tears were streaming down my face. I couldn't stop them. I picked up letter number 124, the one from this morning, the newest one. Mom, it's been 4 months, 124 days. I don't know if you've read any of these letters. Part of me hopes you haven't. They're not very good. Just the rambling thoughts of a daughter who destroyed the most important relationship in her life. But I'll keep writing them, every day, for as long as it takes. Because you never gave up on me even when I gave up on you. The trial starts next week. I'll have to testify. I'll have to face Victoria again. I'm terrified, but I'm going to do it. Because it's the right thing to do. Because you taught me to do the right thing even when it's hard. I hope you're taking care of yourself. I hope you're not carrying all this alone. You have Jessica and Grace. They're good people, people who understand. I love you, Mom. I never stopped. I never will. Camilla, I sat at my kitchen table surrounded by 124 letters, crying, grieving, and maybe just maybe beginning to heal. I opened my laptop, pulled up my email, stared at the blank screen. Then I typed, Camilla, I read your letters, all of them. Mom, I hit send. 5 minutes later, my phone buzzed. A text from Camila. Thank you for reading them. That's more than I deserve. I love you. I stared at those words for a long time. Then I typed back, I love you too. But I'm not ready yet. I'm sorry. But I'm not ready. 3 dots appeared. Then I understand. Take all the time you need. I'll be here. William called me in for a meeting. Said there was something I needed to know before the trial. Jessica and Grace were already there when I arrived. Lucas Whitmore has agreed to testify against his mother and brother, William said. Full disclosure. Everything Victoria did. How she planned each con. How she manipulated the victims. How she taught Tyler and Lucas to be part of it. Why is he doing this? I asked. Guilt, I think. And maybe because he actually cared about Camila, in his own twisted way. William pulled out a document. This is Lucas's deposition. I want you to read part of it. He handed it to me. I read Q. When did you first become aware of your mother's fraudulent activities? When I was 19. I walked in on her and Tyler counting cash. A lot of cash. She told me it was from a business deal, but I heard her say something about Tyler's ex-wife, about how stupid she'd been to sign the papers. Q, did you confront her? A, yes. She told me it was justice, that women like Tyler's ex were gold diggers, that they deserved what they got. Q, did you believe her? A, I wanted to. She's my mother. So yes, I believed her. Or I made myself believe her. Q, when did you become personally involved? A, 3 years ago. Tyler moved to Atlanta, stopped participating. Mom said it was my turn. That family takes care of family, that if I loved her, I'd help. Q, and you agreed? A, yes. God help me, yes. Q, did you care about Camila Sullivan? A, long pause. Yes, I did care about her. That's what made it so hard. I tried to stop it. I tried to tell her. But every time I got close, she'd remind me what would happen if I betrayed the family. She had things on me. Financial records. Proof I'd helped with Jessica Porter's con. She said if I turned on her, she'd make sure I went to prison. Q, so you stayed silent? A, yes. Until Mrs. Sullivan set the trap. And then I finally did the right thing. Too late, but I did it. I set down the document, looked at William. He was trapped too. In a different way than the victims, William said. But yes, Victoria controlled everyone around her, her sons, her victims, even her own family. Will this help at trial? Grace asked. Immensely. Lucas can testify to Victoria's methods, her planning, her manipulation tactics. He can corroborate everything you, Jessica, and Camila say. When does he testify? Week 2, after the victims. I nodded slowly. And Camila testifies when day 3, right after you, Jessica, and Grace. 3 days. In 3 days, I'd have to sit in a courtroom and watch my daughter relive the worst experience of her life, and I still didn't know if I could forgive her. The courtroom was packed. Press in the back rows. Victoria's remaining family members on one side, our group on the other. Victoria sat at the defense table in a gray suit, hair pulled back, face expressionless, like she was at a business meeting not on trial for destroying multiple lives. The prosecutor was Linda, 43, sharp. She'd been preparing this case for 4 months. Judge Patricia Morrison presided. Stern, fair, known for harsh sentences in fraud cases. The state of North Carolina versus Victoria Ann Whitmore, the clerk announced. Charges conspiracy to commit fraud, grand larceny, extortion, money laundering. The trial began. Linda stood, addressed the jury. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a case about a woman who weaponized trust, who used the institution of marriage as a tool to destroy young women's lives, who taught her own sons to be predators. Over 7 years, Victoria Whitmore stole more than $600,000 from 5 women. She left them bankrupt, homeless, psychologically scarred. She pointed at Victoria. That woman is not a businesswoman. She's a con artist. And over the next 2 weeks, you will hear from her victims. You will see the pattern, and you will have no choice but to find her guilty. Victoria's lawyer stood. Richard Carlisle. Expensive, slick. The prosecution would have you believe my client is a mastermind, a criminal genius who orchestrated elaborate cons. The truth is much simpler. Mrs. Whitmore is a woman who made bad business decisions, who trusted the wrong people, who is now being scapegoated by bitter ex-daughters-in-law who can't accept that their marriages failed. He smiled at the jury, confident. These women signed loan documents willingly. No one forced them. No one threatened them. They made choices, bad choices, and now they want someone else to blame. Don't give them that satisfaction. Linda guided her through the story, meeting Tyler, falling in love, Victoria's warmth and manipulation, the wedding, the loan documents, the sudden divorce. How much did you lose, Miss Porter? $88,000, plus my condo, plus 3 years of my life. And your relationship with your mother? Jessica's voice broke. Victoria told me my mother was jealous, controlling. By the time I realized the truth, I'd pushed my mother so far away that she didn't talk to me for a year. We're still rebuilding. No further questions. Carlisle cross-examined. Tried to make Jessica look bitter, vindictive, but she held firm, answered every question honestly. When Jessica stepped down, she walked past Victoria's table. Victoria smirked at her. Jessica didn't react, just kept walking, head high. Her voice shook at first, but as she told her story, Victoria's manipulation, the loan, losing her parents' house, she got stronger. Miss Palmer, what was the worst part? Linda asked. Grace looked directly at Victoria. The worst part was realizing I'd been that easy to fool, that I'd trusted someone who saw me as nothing but a dollar sign, that I'd let her take everything my parents left me. How has this affected your life? I work 60-hour weeks to pay off debt that isn't mine. I live in a studio apartment. I can't afford to date, to travel, to have the life I should have had. All because I believed Victoria Whitmore when she said I was family. On cross-examination, Carlisle tried to suggest Grace had known about the fraud, that she'd been complicit. If I'd known, Grace said, voice hard, I wouldn't have signed. I wouldn't have lost everything. And I wouldn't be here today having to relive the worst experience of my life in front of strangers. The jury was riveted. My turn. I walked to the stand, raised my right hand, swore to tell the truth. Linda smiled at me, encouraging. Mrs. Sullivan, please tell the jury how you first learned about the plan to defraud your daughter. I told them. The restaurant. Jessica's warning. Hiding behind the screen. Overhearing Victoria and Lucas planning to steal $220,000 from Camila. What did you do after hearing this conversation? I went straight to my daughter. I told her everything. I begged her to believe me. And did she? No. My voice cracked. She thought I was trying to control her, that I couldn't let her grow up. Victoria had already planted those seeds. She'd been grooming Camila for months. How did that make you feel? I looked at the jury, at 12 strangers who held Victoria's fate in their hands. Helpless, terrified, because I knew what was coming. I knew Victoria would destroy my daughter's life, and I knew Camila wouldn't believe me until it was too late. What did you do next? I found the other victims, Jessica, Grace. We built a case. We went to the police. We set up a sting operation to catch Victoria in the act. And you succeeded? Yes. We stopped her. Barely. By seconds. Linda nodded. Thank you, Mrs. Sullivan. Carlisle's cross-examination was brutal. He tried to make me look like an overprotective mother. Suggested I'd fabricated the whole thing because I didn't like Lucas. Isn't it true, Mrs. Sullivan, that you never wanted your daughter to marry? That's not true. Isn't it true that you were jealous of her relationship? No. Isn't it true that you manipulated these other women, Jessica Porter and Grace Palmer, to support your vendetta against the Whitmore family? No. I was shaking now, angry. I saved my daughter from a con artist. That's what I did. And if you had children, Mr. Carlisle, you'd do the same thing. When I stepped down, I walked past Victoria. She was staring at me, cold, hateful. You should have minded your own business, she whispered. I stopped, looked down at her. She is my business. She's my daughter. And you will never touch her again. The courtroom doors opened. Camila walked in. I hadn't seen her in 4 months. She looked different, thinner, older. Her hair was shorter. She wore a simple gray dress. No jewelry, no makeup. She looked terrified. As she walked to the stand, our eyes met. Just for a second. She looked like she wanted to say something, but there was no time. She was sworn in, sat down. Linda approached gently. Miss Sullivan, I know this is difficult. Take your time. Camilla nodded, swallowed hard. How did you meet Lucas Whitmore? Through friends, at a hospital fundraiser. He was charming, funny, attentive. When did you meet his mother, Victoria? At the engagement party, 3 months ago. What was your first impression of her? She was... Camilla's voice shook. She was warm, welcoming. She made me feel like I finally had a real family again. After my dad died, it was just me and my mom. And I loved my mom, but I felt... She stopped, looked at me, tears in her eyes. I felt like I needed to grow up, to have my own life. And Victoria made me feel like that was okay, like wanting independence didn't make me a bad daughter. When did Victoria start meeting with you privately? About a week after the engagement. She invited me to coffee, said she wanted to get to know me better, that we were going to be family. How many times did you meet with her? 7 or 8 times, maybe more, always just the two of us. What did you talk about? Camilla closed her eyes. At first, wedding plans, colors, flowers, normal stuff. But then she started asking about my mom, about our relationship, whether my mom was happy about the wedding. What did you tell her? I said Mom seemed a little distant, a little worried. Victoria asked why. I said I didn't know. And then she started planting ideas. What kind of ideas? That my mom was scared of losing me. That some mothers can't let their daughters grow up. That they'll do anything to keep control. She said she'd seen it before. Other mothers who sabotage their children's happiness. Linda nodded. So when your mother warned you about the fraud scheme, you didn't believe her? No. Tears were streaming down Camilla's face now. I thought Mom was doing exactly what Victoria said she would. I thought she was trying to control me, to stop me from being happy. What did you do? Camilla's voice broke. I told Victoria everything, every conversation with Mom, every woman she found, every piece of evidence. I reported it all back, because I thought I was protecting Lucas, protecting my future. The courtroom was silent. Miss Sullivan, Linda said softly, when did you realize you'd been manipulated? In the notary's office, when Helen Vance started reading the loan amounts, when I realized my condo was collateral, when Lucas wouldn't look at me, when Victoria's mask finally came off. What did Victoria say to you when her mask came off? Camilla looked directly at Victoria. She said I was just a condo and a credit score. That's all I ever was to her. A mark, a victim, nothing more. How did that make you feel? Like I wanted to die. Camilla was sobbing now. Because I'd betrayed my own mother to help this woman. Because I'd chosen her over the person who loved me most in the world. Because I'd been so stupid. You weren't stupid, Linda said firmly. You were targeted by a professional con artist. There's a difference. She let that sink in. Then, no further questions. Carlyle's cross-examination was vicious. He tried to make Camilla look like a willing participant, a gold digger who'd known about the fraud all along. Isn't it true, Miss Sullivan, that you were in debt, that you needed money? I had student loans, like millions of Americans. Isn't it true that you saw this marriage as a way out of debt? No, I loved Lucas. At least I thought I did. Isn't it true that you helped my client plan this entire scheme, and now you're testifying against her to avoid prosecution? No, Camilla's voice was fierce now, angry. I was manipulated. I was lied to. I was used. And I'll live with the guilt of what I did to my mother for the rest of my life. But I didn't help Victoria plan anything. I was her victim. Just like Jessica. Just like Grace. Just like everyone else she's destroyed. When Camilla stepped down, she walked past me, stopped. Mom, she whispered. I couldn't speak, could only shake my head. She kept walking, out of the courtroom, alone. Emma Rhodes testified via video from Atlanta. Sophia Bennett flew in from California, finally willing to break her NDA. Both told the same story. Victoria's manipulation, the loans, the sudden divorces, the devastation. Lucas Whitmore testified on day 5, told everything. How Victoria had taught him and Tyler to con women. How she'd planned each scheme. How she'd threatened him when he tried to stop. Tyler was brought in from Atlanta in custody. Refused to testify. Sat next to his mother, silent and defiant. Financial experts testified about the offshore accounts, the money laundering, the systematic fraud. By day 8, the evidence was overwhelming. Linda stood before the jury. Ladies and gentlemen, you've heard from 5 victims, 5 women whose lives were destroyed by Victoria Whitmore. You've heard from her own son who finally found the courage to tell the truth. The evidence is clear. The pattern is undeniable. Victoria Whitmore is guilty, and it's time for her to face justice. Carlyle tried, but there was nothing he could say. The evidence was too strong, the victims too credible. The jury deliberated for 3 hours. Has the jury reached a verdict? We have your honor. On the charge of conspiracy to commit fraud, how do you find guilty? On the charge of grand larceny, guilty. On the charge of extortion, guilty. On the charge of money laundering, guilty. Victoria showed no emotion, just sat there, stone-faced. Judge Morrison set sentencing for 2 weeks later. When Victoria was led out in handcuffs, she stopped in front of me. "This isn't over," she hissed. "Yes," I said quietly. "It is." Judge Morrison looked down at Victoria. "Mrs. Whitmore, I have presided over many fraud cases in my 20 years on the bench, but I have never seen such callous, systematic destruction of human lives. You targeted vulnerable women. You used marriage, an institution built on trust, as a weapon. You taught your own children to be predators." She paused. "You have shown no remorse, no empathy, no recognition of the harm you've caused. Therefore, I am sentencing you to the maximum penalty allowed by law. 7 years in federal prison, full restitution to all victims, and a permanent restraining order preventing you from contacting any of the victims or their families." Victoria's face finally cracked. "7 years," she whispered. "You can't. I can, and I have. Take her away." As Victoria was led out, she looked back at the courtroom, at me, at Camilla, at Jessica and Grace. "Weak," she mouthed. "All of you. But we weren't weak. Not anymore. We'd survived her, and now she'd face justice." After sentencing, we all stood on the courthouse steps. Jessica, Grace, Emma, Sophia, me. 5 women united by one predator, now united by victory. Camilla stood apart from us, 20 feet away, watching, like she wanted to join but didn't feel like she deserved to. Jessica walked over to her, said something I couldn't hear. Then Grace joined them, then Emma and Sophia. They were embracing Camilla, welcoming her into the circle of survivors, because that's what she was, a survivor, just like them. I watched from a distance, still couldn't bring myself to close that gap. Camilla looked over at me. Our eyes met. She mouthed, "I'm sorry." I nodded, then turned away. I wasn't ready yet. Letter number 148 arrived on my doorstep. "Mom, I started teaching workshops at the nonprofit. Recognizing manipulation in relationships." We had 15 women show up. I told them my story, how I was groomed, how I helped my own predator, how I almost destroyed my life. One woman came up to me afterward. She was crying. She said, "I'm in a relationship like that right now, and I didn't see it until you described it." She left that night, ended the relationship. Maybe I saved her from what happened to me. Dr. Walsh says this is part of healing, turning pain into purpose, using my experience to help others. I hope you're proud of me, even a little. I love you. Camilla, I sat at my kitchen table, stared at that letter, then at the pile of 147 others. My daughter was helping people, saving women from manipulation, using her mistakes to prevent others from making the same ones. I picked up my phone, opened a text to Camilla. "I'm proud of you." 3 dots appeared immediately. "Really?" "Yes. What you're doing helping other women that matters. Does this mean are we okay?" I stared at that question. Was I ready to answer it? Not yet, but we're getting there. Thank you, Mom. That's enough for now. Letter number 187 arrived, but this time it was different. There was a small package with it. I opened it. A peace lily in a small ceramic pot. With a card, Dr. Walsh taught me that peace lilies symbolize rebirth, new beginnings. I'm not asking you to forgive me. Not yet. I'm just asking you to let me show you slowly that I'm not the person I was, that I'm trying to become someone you can be proud of. Will you let me try? Camilla, I looked at that plant, thought about new beginnings, about rebirth, about second chances. Then I texted Camilla Sunday, 10 a.m., my house. Bring pancake ingredients. Blueberry pancakes. Yes, I'll be there. The doorbell rang at exactly 10 a.m. I opened it. Camilla stood on my porch. She wore jeans and a sweater, hair in a ponytail, no makeup. She looked nervous. Hi, Mom. Hi, sweetheart. We stood there for a moment, awkward, uncertain. 5 months of silence between us. Then, come in. In the kitchen, Camilla unpacked groceries, blueberries, flour, eggs, milk. We moved around each other carefully, like dancers learning a new routine. She cooked. I made coffee. We didn't talk much, but it was something. When the pancakes were ready, we sat at the kitchen table, the same table where I'd confronted her 5 months ago, where she'd accused me of trying to control her, where everything had fallen apart. These are good, I said. Thanks. I've been practicing. Silence. Then, Mom, I need to say something. I set down my fork. Okay. I don't expect this to fix everything. Forgiveness it's not a one-time thing. It's a process. But I'm here for as long as you need, however long it takes. I looked at my daughter, really looked at her, and I saw the changes, the maturity, the hard-won wisdom. I read all your letters, I said. All 187. Every single one. Camilla's eyes filled with tears. Thank you. I found your journal, from when you were 10. Oh God. Mom, you wrote that I was your hero. Camilla started crying. You were. You still are. It's just someone convinced me you weren't. I took a breath. I spent 5 months being angry. I had every right to be. Yes, you did. You helped her, Camilla. You told Victoria everything. You chose her over me. I know. No excuses, no justifications, just acknowledgement. But I've also watched you, the letters, your testimony, the work you're doing now. And I realized something. I leaned forward. Victoria fooled judges, lawyers, police officers, smart, experienced women like Jessica and Grace. Why did I expect my 27-year-old daughter to be stronger than all of them? That doesn't excuse no. It doesn't excuse it, but it explains it. And I think, my voice broke, I think I'm ready to try to forgive you. Camilla collapsed into sobs. I don't deserve it. I stood, walked around the table, pulled her into my arms for the first time in 5 months. No, you don't, but I'm giving it to you anyway, because you're my daughter. No matter what happened, I still love you. I never stopped loving you. We held each other, cried for what was lost, for what remained, for the painful truth, for the second chance. When we finally pulled apart, I looked at her. But Camilla, if you ever lie to me again, I won't, never again. Never hide anything, never keep secrets, even if the truth hurts. I promise, by everything I have. Okay, then let's try. Let's build something new. I want that so much. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't what we'd had before, but it was honest, and it was a start. I sat in the back row of a university auditorium. 200 people filled the seats. The banner at the front read, Recognizing Financial Manipulation, a Survivor's Story. Camilla stood at the podium, confident, clear, strong. My name is Camilla Sullivan. 3 years ago, I nearly became an accomplice in the financial destruction of my own mother. I was groomed, manipulated, used, and I'm here to tell you my story so that no one else falls into the same trap I did. She told it all. Meeting Lucas, Victoria's manipulation, the secret meetings, reporting back to Victoria, the sting operation, the trial. And finally, the hardest part wasn't realizing I'd been conned. It was realizing I'd hurt the person who loved me most. My mother tried to save me, and I helped her enemy. It took me 5 months to earn her forgiveness. It took another year to forgive myself. When she finished, a young woman approached, about 23, nervous. Miss Sullivan, my boyfriend's mother is asking me to sign financial documents I don't understand. She says it's normal, that if I really loved him, I'd trust him. But after hearing you, I think I need to check with a lawyer first. Camilla smiled. Trust your instincts. Always. Don't sign anything until an independent lawyer reviews it. That one decision could save your life. The woman's eyes filled with tears. Thank you. You just saved me. After the talk, we met Jessica and Grace at Golden Terrace Restaurant, back where it all started. but at a different table this time. Not the one with the wooden screen. A new table by the window, full of light. We raised our glasses. To survivors, Jessica said. To justice, Grace added. To second chances, Camila said, looking at me. To truth, I said. And to never giving up on the people we love. We clinked glasses. Updates went around the table. Jessica had finally paid off her last debt. 3 years clean. She was dating again. Carefully. Wisely. Grace had bought a small house. Nothing fancy, but it was hers. Truly hers. Camila's nonprofit had expanded. They'd helped 97 women avoid financial fraud last year. She was dating someone new. Michael, an architect, a good man who respected boundaries and understood her past. He treats me like I'm valuable, Camila said, not like I'm a condo and a credit score. We all laughed. Dark humor, but healing humor. Before we left, Camila and I stood in the spot where the wooden screen used to be. The restaurant had remodeled. Everything new, everything bright. I think about that night a lot, Camila said. What if you hadn't been there? What if Jessica hadn't warned you? What if you hadn't heard? I touched her arm. But I was there, and I did hear, and we survived. Are we okay, Mom? Really okay? I considered this. We're different than we were. We'll never be what we were before Victoria. But yes, we're okay. Better than okay. We walked outside together, into the sunshine, into the future. My daughter was no longer the naive girl who believed every lie. She was a woman who questioned, who protected herself, who helped others. Maybe Victoria had broken us, but we'd rebuilt ourselves, stronger, wiser, together, and that was enough. Thank you for staying with me until the end. I know it was a long journey, but some stories can't be rushed. What changed after that day in the notary's office? Victoria Whitmore is serving year 4 of her 7-year sentence. She'll be eligible for parole in 2029. I'll be at that hearing, along with Jessica, Grace, Emma, Sophia, and Camila, making sure she serves every day she deserves. Tyler Whitmore was sentenced to 3 years. He's out now, living in Atlanta. We don't know much about him. Lucas Whitmore completed his probation. He's paying restitution. Last I heard, he was working construction, trying to build a life away from his mother's shadow. What hasn't changed? The pain of betrayal never fully disappears. I still remember the moment Camila chose Victoria over me. That memory will always hurt. Camila still carries guilt, even though I've forgiven her, even though we've rebuilt our relationship. Some scars are permanent, but we survived, and sometimes survival is enough. Lessons I learned. 1. Manipulators are professionals. They find your weakness and exploit it. They don't need force. They use psychology. They make you think you're making your own decisions. 2. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It means choosing love over hate. It means letting both people grow. But it doesn't mean everything goes back to normal. 3. Someone can be both victim and accomplice. Both are true, and you have to accept that complexity. Red flags everyone should know in relationships. Someone who isolates you from family and friends. Someone who makes you doubt your own instincts. Someone who calls people who love you controlling or jealous. Someone who rushes major decisions. Someone who says, "Trust me," without clear explanation. In financial transactions, anyone who tells you to keep money matters secret. Anyone who says temporary, but paperwork says permanent. Anyone who rushes you to sign without time to review. Anyone who says, "Trust me," instead of "let your lawyer review this." My message to mothers: trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, it usually is. Don't stop fighting for your children even when they stop fighting for you. Even when they choose someone else. Keep fighting. Keep loving. Keep showing up. My message to daughters: people who truly love you will never ask you to cut off your family. Independence doesn't mean isolation. Growing up doesn't mean abandoning the people who protected you. Listen to the people who've always been there, not the people who show up when it's convenient. My message to victims: it's not your fault. Manipulators are very good at what they do. You're not stupid. You're not weak. You were targeted by a professional predator. But you can survive. You can rebuild. You can turn your pain into purpose. There's help available. If you or someone you know is experiencing financial fraud, contact the National Elder Fraud Hotline at 1-833-FRAUD11 or visit consumerfinance.gov. Final message: trust your instincts. Question anything that seems too good to be true. Never stop fighting for the people you love, even when they stop fighting for you. My name is Evelyn Sullivan. This is my story. This is my daughter's story. This is our survival story. And if we can survive this, you can survive whatever you're facing too. What would you do if you were in my place? Have you ever had to save someone who didn't want to be saved? Have you ever had to forgive someone who betrayed you? Comment below. I want to hear your stories. If you found this story helpful, subscribe to this channel. I share 2 other stories every week, stories about family justice and second chances, stories that matter. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And remember, you're stronger than you think. Your instincts are right. Trust them. Evelyn Sullivan, Survivor.